Hi, Alan Stratton from woodturns. In a previous video I talked about this bowl, this piece of ash. Nice bowl, but it had developed a crack in the bottom. I've now filled the crack with casting rosin, and so it's ready to turn. It has shrunk just a little bit, 1/2 inch difference between across the grain and with the grain. I'll mount it on a metal jaw chuck on the original tenon on the bottom to begin with. This exceeds, for turning the base, it exceeds any chalk that I now have, so I'll turn a jam chuck out of some scrap wood and use that to finish the base. Now, it's a big bowl. It's the biggest I've ever done so far. I got to face my fears and do it, because as one comment said, it's not going to grow anymore, so it's time to finish it. Let's see how it turns out.
Back it up just for a bit. For the casting, I used duct tape inside the bowl to seal the crack, and more duct tape on the outside to dam up the sides so that it wouldn't flow out. The casting rosin promptly dissolved the glue in the duct tape, and it ran out and leaked all over the board that I had. Fortunately, I had the board set to capture it. So I set up again after it dried, used parchment paper this time directly against the crack, and to dam it up, and built that up and mounted it with duct tape. It still dissolved the duct tape and leaked, but at least I had enough to fill the crack. Next time I would use parchment and hot melt glue to seal it up and to provide the mold for the bowl. But thank you to everyone who made a comment on the last video, the first video, as to how to deal with the crack. It was very interesting to see the range of prospects from the simple to the exotic, and all of them seemed to be worth trying. I had to choose one in the end, and as I said, it's clear and it'll be nice, I think, for this one. It is amazing to me to see, now viewing it from the side instead of from the tool side, to see just how oblong the bowl had become in the process, and how wavy it appears on the film as I narrate this. But that's the way it works with the green wood. Use primarily my bowl gouge to smooth it out, but the ash is a very hard wood and had to be careful. To me, the particular challenge was the inside, as it was very, very hard. Seems that the wood coming in and then toward the tool at all times provides a very different dynamic to the tooling, and this was a very straight-sided bowl. It was hard to get the tool rest in close to the bottom to do it, but managed to try and take very, very light cuts. Switched over to my bowl scraper to do the bottom and to fine-tune the sides. The scraper, however, still was hanging quite a bit over the tool rest, and I tried to use very, very light cuts, but even at that it seemed to be almost too light for the job. It almost seemed to be flexing right at the junction between the tang and the handle. I would almost wish that I had a even heavier than the bowl gouge to strengthen the joint between the tang and the handle, and to give me probably another 2 feet on the handle to manage the vibration and the possibility of a catch. Had to make sure I was using the faceplate and that nothing got out and injured me. I need more practice finishing the inside, and wanted to take off as little of the bowl itself as possible, so in order to make sure that I had it when I returned the outside, just to make sure I drew some pencil marks on to make sure that they were turned out before I went on. I did go through all the grits and sanding, actually down to 60 and then back up to 220. Then in the end I did wet sand it with 320 and the walnut oil, which provided a very nice smooth finish despite the open pored nature of the ash, which I think made it nice.
Hi, Alan Stratton from Woodturns. For this ash bowl, it's been quite a journey. Little did I figure when I started it out that it would be this much. It has exceeded or nearly exceeded the capacity of nearly every tool that I've used on this thing. With the crack, it was a new experience dealing with that. And normally, I would have gone directly from finishing the inside and the outside of the bowl directly to finish turning the foot. However, when I got to that point, I went ahead and turned a jam chuck to finish the foot with. But then when I tried it out, realized that there was not enough distance between the headstock and the face of the jam chuck to accommodate the depth of the bowl. So another project. Had to add to my jam chuck that I had turned out. In this case, I want to do some laminated turnings in the future. So I actually did a segmented turning and then glued it together. Then said, oh, maybe that's not deep enough, so I added another layer to that. So now this jam chuck has turned out to be almost a project in and of itself. And it's big enough, maybe I should just, when I'm done, turn it into a bowl by itself. But there we go. Now it's big enough that I can mount the bowl on it, and let's get this bowl finished. Finish this journey that it's had.
I made the jam chuck just out of common 2x4 material that I had available, and then, as I said, it wound up not being deep enough to hold the bowl. So I made an 8-sided segmented ring, practicing for a future segmented joinery bowl, and glued that on, and then was glued on a piece of plywood to strengthen that and to provide it a little bit more stability in a flat surface. But then thought, oh, maybe it's not quite enough, so I added yet another piece of scrap plywood to the very bottom and turned that all flat, and then made it round and used it for the jam chuck. Almost made it too small in the end, which would have been a disaster, but it worked. Put a little sanding pad in there to cushion it so that it wouldn't mar the bottom of the bowl, and then proceeded to turn the base. That worked out to be fairly quick, fairly easy. Went through the grits and again in sanding. The little stub I chiseled off and then scraped it, and then just did a little bit more sanding.
Well, here we are. The bowl is finished. It's off the lathe. The bottom is done. It has a great figure inside and out. The crack I filled with clear rosin. It's transparent. It's in effect a window to the soul of the bowl. At least that's my story, and I'm sticking with it. I'm not a professional wood turner. I'm an amateur. I've dreamed about this for years. My quest, if you will, is to find beauty in the wood, see how it emerges as I turn it. And I invite you to share in this quest, and I will do my best to share it with you as we go on. As for this bowl, I expect my children and grandchildren to be fighting over this bowl.